Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is No Soundbites Allowed, and I am your host, Michael Voss, Dragon the Southern Tier. I'm happy to be here with you again today. And today, I want to talk about something. I know we were just speaking about the Biden administration and also the ceasefire between Israel and Palestine, but there's even more news on this Friday. That's right, it's May 21st. There's more news that's going on today. And I find it kind of interesting because it reveals a lot about what's happening in our political system in the last 120 days. Now, many people may not be familiar with the name Mayor Lovely. Yes, Mayor Lovely. She is the mayor of Rochester, New York. Many people may not even know what that is. It's one of the bigger cities in upstate New York. And we want to talk a little bit about the mayor and what's going on right now. But before we start with that, we do want to mention that if this is the first time that you've seen our program, we thank you and we welcome you for joining us, and we do long-form political commentary. Also, every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a live stream with you. We go out on social media, that's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, DLive, anywhere that the internet overlords will allow, and we speak with you about the issues that are affecting us all. And we ask for your words and your comments on tweets, chats, even calling into the program every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from anywhere in the world to tell us what you think about the issues that are affecting us all. And we do hope to see you this Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let's look at what's happening here. We have to say that Mayor Lovely is actually a pretty standard mayor as Democrats go in New York State. Her full name is Mayor Lovely Warren. And Mayor Lovely Warren is exactly what you would expect for a Democrat in New York State. She's against guns. She's progressive. She is looking to defund the police and is actively doing so. She promotes all of the very progressive ideals and backs, essentially, the single-party system of New York State. Well, there's even a little bit more about Mayor Lovely that we should pay attention to. In fact, you can see it here, and you may have noticed it on your social media, that Democratic Mayor Lovely Warren, a gun control advocate, and her husband had dealer volume drugs and an illegal gun in their home. Well, that sounds controversial. It sounds explosive. And maybe you would think, well, that's just sensationalism. It's on the internet. It's on Facebook. Anyone that people pick on Democrats and Republicans all the time, and it doesn't mean anything. Well, in this case, it means a little bit more than what you might think. Because as we go to Twitter and we look at the New York Post, Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren says husband's coke and gun arrest is about politics. Oh, wait a minute. This came out on May 20th at 7:15 p.m. There's something to this. It isn't just a social media meme. There's actually a story here. And in fact, there is a story here. As we can see, reported from the New York Post, Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren says husband's cocaine and gun arrest is about politics. So she has been set up. Now here's something I want to mention. Do you ever notice that every time that Democrats are caught doing something that they blame on Republicans and conservatives, something that they say they are going to stop, every time they get caught doing exactly whatever it is that they blame others for, they're not at fault. It's not their problem. When Mayor Marion Barry for D.C., when he got caught smoking crack with a hooker, well, that was a setup. It wasn't his fault that he was smoking crack. No. He was being set up. When we see Hunter Biden as another example of a Democrat who it was not his laptop until we found out it was his laptop. It wasn't his gun, or he legally possessed the gun, even though we found out that he lied about how he got that gun. It's always, when they get caught, it's someone else's fault. It's not a problem. It's not an issue. It's only an issue when the other guy does it. And you could probably say a little bit to the same for Republicans, although we see this with Democrats on a regular and repeated basis. And that's the case here with Mayor Lovely. So Mayor Lovely says here that her husband, it is a fact, her husband on Thursday was arrested for cocaine possession and firearms. That's it. And her thought about this, and I'm quoting the New York Post here, the Democrat spoke briefly with reporters claiming that she had done nothing wrong and that the police raid on her house and charges against her husband, Timothy Granison, were an attempt to discredit her re-election campaign. She says, quote, "I find the timing of yesterday's events, 3 weeks before early voting starts, to be highly suspicious. There's nothing implicating me in these charges today because I've done nothing wrong. I haven't spoken to Tim since his arrest, and I'm not standing here to defend him." Well, hang on. Mayor Lovely is an outspoken detractor of the Second Amendment. Mayor Lovely supports, along with Governor Cuomo and many Democrats throughout the state, the Second Amendment right of American citizens to defend themselves. But it seems that she had no problem in her own home allowing her husband to be able to defend their family with a firearm that is illegal in New York State. That is a crime. And we're to believe that she didn't know anything about it, that her husband, living in the same house as her, with their daughter, didn't know about the cocaine that was being trafficked by him. It seems a bit much of a stretch. And I do want to emphasize that because the media has had, or some in social media, have said that, well, she doesn't live in that house. It's not her home. And that they're separated. No, they are separated. According to Mayor Lovely, they've been separated for some time, but they do live in the same home with their daughter. Let's look at this. Police say they found a handgun and semi-automatic rifle at the house on Woodman Park, where they describe Granison and Warren's daughter being at home. This is the home for both of them. And he had a semi-automatic rifle. I noticed that when it's a Democrat, did you notice in the description, it's a semi-automatic rifle. It's not an assault weapon. No. It's a semi-automatic rifle because a Democrat of color, is involved. But if this were anyone else, if it were me, then it would be an assault weapon. Because the distinction between semi-automatic rifle and a assault weapon, that distinction is only made when Democrats are involved. It's a trick of the news media. But we do know that when we hear Mayor Lovely upset and saying that this was just a trick, this is just something being done to take her down politically, this is about her election. According to the Democrat and Chronicle, a 7-month drug investigation rattled Rochester's political world with the arrest Wednesday of Timothy Granison, the husband of Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren. Granison was not an initial target of the investigation, which police and prosecutors said involved a wiretap that had been underway for the past 7 months, but did emerge as one 3 months ago. The political sensitivity of this emergence as a criminal suspect prompted District Attorney Sandra Dorley to ask the state police to step in. Originally, Rochester police were investigating and take control of the investigation into Granison. So it's pretty clearly laid out. This is the home of the mayor. And this was a long-term investigation that had involved other individuals and then came to her husband. And this problem, the investigation into the drugs, illegal drugs, was at least 3 months old. That's not a political hit job. That's not targeting someone because of their politics. It's because there's a consistent crime going on. And the fact that he was found into possession of, and we will show you, as the Democrat and Chronicle says, he was found in possession of 31 grams of cocaine with the intent to sell. And in the car, he illegally possessed a handgun with the semi-automatic rifle being found in the home. Well, this is the home, this is the husband of a anti-gun advocate, someone who does not want you or me to have firearms, but it seems she's fine with that. And we have to ask the question, would any mother allow their child to not be aware of the fact there's a gun in the house? That they would just not worry about whether or not a gun was in the household with their child? That they wouldn't know about or be concerned about drugs that are in that household? It seems that Mayor Lovely Warren has a problem. Was she aiding and abetting? We don't know. Was she just simply turning a blind eye and thinking that since she is a political figure of a relatively large city in New York State, that no one would bother to investigate her family, and that whatever criminal actions they were taking, like owning a semi-automatic rifle that is illegal in New York State, or the drug possession, either way, that no one would bother to look at this. No one would dare bring it up because New York State is a blue state. It is a Democrat-controlled state. She was protected. She's part of the protected class. And now that she has been caught, the answer is, well, it's a setup. It's not my fault. Well, you're not denying it happened. It's a fact that there was an investigation. He was found with 31 grams of cocaine, and that there were 2 ounces taken from the home, that there was an illegal firearm in that home. The very laws that Mayor Lovely and many Democrats across New York State, the leadership of New York State, the single party system that we have, is actually against this. She should have turned them in. Isn't that what she asked of all the regular citizens? Turn in your illegal firearms. You don't need those firearms. The police will protect you, except they're getting rid of the police as well. I think it's just incredibly hypocritical, and yet it's not new. We see this over and over again. Governor Cuomo struck down and attacked individuals who, during the Me Too phase of the election in 2020, and even before that, stood tall and proud alongside other Democrats, attacking individuals who are doing sexual abuse. And then when he gets accused, well, he keeps his job. When he gets accused 9 times, he keeps his job. And his brother, a member of the news media that is supposed to be reporting on this, that is supposed to be the watchdog for the public, the very individual who's supposed to be saying, this is what's going wrong, is the one who's telling Governor Cuomo to stay steady, keep the job, don't give up. Don't resign. There seems to be a problem there. And then there's, of course, the problem that Governor Cuomo has been caught lying to the American people. He has been caught lying to the federal government. He has been caught in being complicit and being the lead reason why 16,000 American citizens died in nursing homes in New York State. He's got a lot of problems, but it's not his fault. And if you bring it up, if you ask the question, well, then you're the problem, because it's a setup, it's a trap, it's bad wording. When he got asked, what would the family members of those 16,000 New York citizens who died because of his regulations, how would those family members feel about the $5 million that he made as a profit on their backs? Well, that's just inappropriate. That's just rude. And that's just a setup. He doesn't need to answer that question. Well, yes, he does. But see, that's New York State for you. That's the kind of politics you get in a bluer than blue state where everything is controlled by a single party. Maybe this also happens in red states. We really haven't seen evidence of this kind of corruption. We have seen it in blue states, in Michigan, in California, even to an extent in Pennsylvania and Ohio. We've seen in blue states, the more blue the state gets, the more the corruption becomes so rampant and so hypocritical. We really need to call this out. The people of Rochester should call this out. Mayor Lovely believes she can live a life that the citizens can't. Her family members can distribute drugs, which she may or may not have known about, in the same home as her daughter, with a firearm that was illegal in New York State, which she may or may not have known about. And she shouldn't be criticized on that because she's a Democrat and she's a black woman. You know, the more we have this kind of shield for our politicians, the worse they become. The best thing that Mayor Lovely can do, be honest. If you didn't know, admit that you're not paying attention to what's going on in your home. That's what's going on in your family. Be honest that you were living by a different set of rules. People can forgive when people make mistakes, when people abuse the system, when they're honest in the fact that they want to repent. But to say that it's just someone else's fault, well, it's not working for Governor Cuomo, and it shouldn't work for the mayor either. But maybe you think we're being unfair. Maybe you think that the evidence as it exists at this moment is media bias against Democrats in a Democrat state on Democratic platforms. Maybe. But we want to hear what you have to say. And if you found this interesting, if you like it, please like and share. But most of all, do subscribe and share in our expression of free speech, both on this video and, of course, every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because we love to hear what you have to say. We thank you, and we look forward to speaking with you again soon.